Okay, so a powerful skill and a powerful way to get unstuck is to simply stop watching TV and movies. Um, for me, what I found to be a way to override that is daydreaming and visualizing and just lying in bed and writing down what I'm daydreaming about from time to time. I always loved daydreaming. I did a lot when I was in grade school, and it was very pleasurable. It was way more pleasurable when I was younger. I could daydream much more vividly. It was very, very lucid daydreaming, very powerful, very emotionally compelling. Um, but now my brain does not work as well as it did when I was a child, and part of that right now is that I'm in poor health. I haven't been taking the supplements I need to optimize my cognitive function. I haven't been working out, which is necessary to increase brain-derived neurotropic factor. And I just noticed that when I'm taking my supplements, when I'm exercising, when I'm eating healthy and not an anti-inflammatory diet, a diet that's good for your cognitive function, I see the world so much clearer. My thoughts are so much more, what's the word? My thoughts are so much more precise. They're so much more creative. My critical thinking is far superior. I don't have any brain fog. Um, and the world appears more colorful and less gray. Um, whereas when I'm in poor health, I have tremendous amounts of brain fog. I struggle to find the words I need. I struggle to think things through. Um, and it's very, 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 very disinhibiting. And so, because I'm just lying in bed daydreaming when I don't have the energy to do the things I want to do, like read books, write blog posts about the compelling books I read. I used to love reading. I love reading. I really do. But it requires energy and motivation. Unlike watching TV or movies. Because I didn't eat healthy last night, it was hard for me to get the motivation and energy to do things. And my stomach hurt for a while, so I just lay in bed and daydreamed. And by doing that, and also being able to just listen to my body and just instead of being able to ignore how my stomach felt by watching TV and movies, I was able to just feel it and be like, oh God, I really need to fast tonight. And if at night I can just lie in bed and daydream until I fall asleep with all the lights out instead of watching TV, I'm far less likely to eat junk food to fall asleep. You know, my biggest problem in falling asleep and eating healthy is that the only way for me to fall asleep while watching something on my laptop or on the TV is to eat junk food because I put myself in food coma. And I've struggled with just turning the computer off and just lying in bed waiting to fall asleep because that's boring. But if I make it into daydreaming and work on making it like it was before, highly pleasurable, an adventure in my own mind, where I can live a whole different life and it's all built from my own ideas and it's like I can feel the emotions when I daydream these scenarios. I can feel the thrills, I can feel the excitement, I can feel the accomplishments, I can feel what it's like to live my ideal life by daydreaming it. And right now that skill is kind of weak, but the more I daydream and the more I read books and get my brain working again, the more you read and use your imagination, the better you get at daydreaming. The reason I was so good at daydreaming when I was young was I read 80 books a year. In sixth and seventh grade, we kept a reading log, and I read like 60 books in fifth grade and about 80 books in about 60 books in fifth grade and about 80 books in sixth. Fifth grade 60, sixth grade 80. And after that, I kind of fell off because I didn't like my seventh or eighth grade teachers. It was a Catholic school, so you only had one teacher um, in seventh grade, one teacher in eighth grade, one teacher in sixth, one teacher in seventh. Um, that would teach all your subjects. So it wasn't like a junior high where for each class you have a different subject. It's more like grade school until 11th grade where you just have the same teacher the whole day through. I didn't like my 7th and 8th grade teachers. They were old women, whereas my 5th grade teacher was an attractive young woman, full of energy, full of life, and I had a crush on her, so I did really well in class, and I read a lot of books to impress her. And the 6th grade teacher, he was Mr. Beck, who was the mayor of Lower Township, used to be a cop. I looked up to him as a father figure, and I worked really hard and got perfect, straight A's in sixth grade because I wanted to impress Mr. Beck, and I read a lot of books also to impress Mr. Beck because he believed in me, told me I could accomplish great things, told me one day I would be you know a congressman or working on nuclear be a nuclear physicist, something like that. That I was capable of those sort of things, which I was. Um, but then in seventh grade, I started to rebel. I started goofing off in class, and then I got accepted into the cool kids club because I sort of got into my adolescent rebellious phase, and I didn't like my teachers, so I could hang out in that way. I actually made friends, and I learned how to be a normal kid. So it wasn't all that bad. And high school, I read voraciously. I didn't have friends until junior year of high school, where I started playing back against my bullies, and I made friends, and then yeah, then I started going to parties and stuff like that, and so I would go through periods of being alone and just reading a lot, and then having a social life. But even when I got a social life in high school, I kept reading a lot, and then in college, when I had a social life, I kept reading a lot. And it's only been the last few years that I stopped reading, and my intelligence has diminished, my knowledge has diminished, my wisdom has diminished, my verbal acumen, my health has diminished. Every good part of my existence has diminished as a result of me being stuck. And this is my path to getting unstuck because I can't stay stuck like this any longer. I can't be, you know, in my 30s, a complete loser, or living with my parents with no real career. I can't be working with my dad when I'm an old man. I have to start a real career. So I'm going to read several books on marketing. I'm going to have a blog. I'm going to have a website where I write about all the books I read, and I'll put it on my resume. I've read 20 books on marketing in the past year. I've done this many podcasts with this many authors of New York Times best-selling books on marketing, and that's my way to get a really good internship and then a really good job. And I'll through my website. You check out my website; it'll be on my resume. You'll see my writing skills, but also see my critical thinking skills and my creative thinking skills. And then once I get the career, I'll continue writing on that blog, learning from experience, reflecting on what I've learned from each different campaign, each marketing campaign, and I'll continue to interview authors, leaders in the field, and thus engage in networking. I'll go to networking events, do interviews with various different people, and create content for other people in the marketing industry, and thus become a leading influencer in the field of marketing. I am sort of a genius because in seventh grade they tested me because I wasn't paying attention to class. They found that I was reading and writing at a college level. I was reading at a sophomore college level and writing at a college freshman level in seventh grade because I had read so many books. And also I had, they discovered I had an IQ of 129, which isn't amazing. It's not 145. I'm not fucking Elon Musk, but that puts me in the top 1 percentile in terms of general intelligence. But that's not what my real gifts are. My gifts are creative thinking and critical thinking. As a result of engaging in so many debates and from reading so much, and also just because of my ADHD, I'm amazing at coming up with new ideas. And you'll see that in the future once I'm able to properly articulate my ideas and start putting them into action. I'll become highly influential, I believe, if all goes well. I'll become highly influential and have a highly positive impact on the world. And perhaps even become a life coach on the side and help young men who are stuck to get unstuck. The type of young men who read Jordan Peterson's books but don't know how to they need an encouraging father figure in their life to help them continue through the hard parts, continue the transformation into becoming real men during this era of where men and especially young men, are in crisis because they lack purpose, they lack any words of encouragement, they feel ostracized. The education system tells them that men are evil and they need to apologize for being men and all that. Um, Very sad, very sad. It is very sad. And the way they've made the education system more and more tailored towards girls, like less competitive. Like one of the reasons I did so well in sixth grade was because Mr. Beck would have competitions for who finished their math test first, who got the highest score on the essay, stuff like that, and you win prizes. So I was constantly competing against the other students too would also get into the competition, and I won a lot of them. I won a lot of the competitions, and I would study math, even though math was my favorite subject. But I'd study it so I could win those math competitions and be number one. Because I had to be number one in something. Because you know, I was a kid that got bullied. I was the nerd. I was the loser that everyone made fun of until seventh grade, where I went to everybody's face. But anyway, um, that's another update for the day. Not very concise, but yeah. No, but the biggest thing is daydreaming, and next video I'll actually put thought into it. I'll write down bullet points, and it'll be high quality content. Right now, I'm just working on getting back in the flow of speaking about things that I'm passionate about.